Hey there, ketchup lovers! Ever wonder how that thick, tangy sauce gets from the tomato field to your burger? Buckle up because we're about to take a tasty trip through the ketchup factory. Ketchup is more than just a condiment, it's a staple in kitchens around the world. From backyard barbecues to fancy restaurants, ketchup adds zip to our favorite foods. But making ketchup isn't as simple as smooshing some tomatoes. There's a whole science behind it. In this journey, we'll follow the tomato from the vine to the bottle. So grab a French fry, for dipping of course, and let's get started on our ketchup adventure.
When it comes to ketchup, it all starts with the tomato. But not just any tomato will do. Ketchup makers are picky. They want tomatoes that are ripe, red, and bursting with flavor. These tomatoes are usually a special kind called paste tomatoes. Paste tomatoes have thick walls and less water inside, making them perfect for ketchup. The tomatoes are picked at just the right time, ripe but not too ripe. If they're too ripe, they might go bad before they reach the factory. Once the tomatoes reach the factory, they go through another check. Workers look at each tomato, removing any that are bruised or not ripe enough. Only the best tomatoes make it to the next step. This careful selection is key to making good ketchup. But tomatoes aren't the only ingredient in ketchup. Factories also need vinegar, sugar, salt, and spices. These extras give ketchup its special tang and sweetness. Each factory has its own secret recipe. The mix of spices can make one ketchup taste different from another.
Now that we have our perfect tomatoes, it's time to get them ready. The first step is washing. This is super important. It removes dirt, bugs, and any yucky stuff that might be on the tomatoes. The tomatoes go through big washing machines that spray them with clean water. After washing, the tomatoes take a ride on a conveyor belt. Here, they get sorted one more time. Any tomatoes that don't look quite right get taken out. The good tomatoes move on to the next step, cutting. Big machines chop the tomatoes into smaller pieces. Cutting the tomatoes makes it easier to cook them and helps get out all the good tomato flavor. The machines can cut tons of tomatoes very quickly. This is much faster than cutting them by hand. Can you imagine having to chop all those tomatoes yourself? During this step, the tomatoes also get their stems removed. We don't want stems in our ketchup. Some factories might also remove the tomato skins, but many leave the skins on. The skins can add more flavor and color to the ketchup. Plus, they have lots of good nutrients.
Now we're getting to the good part. The chopped tomatoes go into huge cooking pots. These pots are so big you could probably fit a car inside. The tomatoes get heated up and start to turn into a thick liquid called tomato pulp. The pulp contains seeds and some skin, so the pulp goes through a special machine called an extractor. It's like a giant strainer that leaves seeds and skin behind. What comes out is a smooth tomato paste. The temperature during this process is very important. It needs to be hot enough to cook the tomatoes, but not so hot that it burns them. The smooth tomato paste is now ready for the next step. And now it's time to add the magic ingredients. Now we have our smooth tomato paste, but it's not ketchup yet. It's time to add the other ingredients. This is where each ketchup gets its unique flavor. The recipe is usually a big secret, but we know the basics. Most ketchups have vinegar, sugar, salt, and spices. These ingredients get mixed into the tomato paste. Big machines stir everything together. The mixture cooks again, this time for several hours. Cooking for a long time makes the flavors blend together and makes the ketchup thicker. During this cooking, the ketchup makers check the mixture often. They look at things like color, taste, and thickness. If it's not quite right, they might add more of certain ingredients. They want to make sure every batch of ketchup tastes the same. This is called consistency. The final cooking is also important for safety. It kills any bacteria that might have gotten into the mix. This makes sure the ketchup is safe to eat. By the end of this step, we finally have ketchup. But it's not ready for your table just yet. There are still a few more steps to go.
After all that cooking, our ketchup is super hot. We can't put hot ketchup in bottles. That would be dangerous. So the next step is cooling. This might seem simple, but it's really important. Cooling the ketchup the right way keeps it safe and tasty. The hot ketchup goes through special cooling machines. These machines work fast, cooling down large amounts of ketchup quickly. This quick cooling is key. If ketchup cools too slowly, bacteria might start to grow. Nobody wants bacteria in their ketchup. As the ketchup cools, it also gets thicker. This is part of what gives ketchup its special texture. The cooling process usually brings the ketchup down to room temperature. This takes about an hour or two, depending on how much ketchup is being made. During cooling, the ketchup keeps moving through pipes. This movement helps it cool evenly and stops the ketchup from separating. If ketchup separates, you might see water on top when you open the bottle. Good cooling helps prevent this. It keeps the ketchup smooth and uniform.
Now our ketchup is cool and ready for bottling. But before any ketchup goes into bottles, the bottles must be super clean. The factory uses very hot water or steam to clean the bottles. This kills any germs that might be inside. Clean bottles means safe ketchup. After cleaning, the bottles move to the filling machine. This machine is amazing. It can fill many bottles at once. The ketchup flows into each bottle. The machine makes sure each bottle gets the right amount. Not too much, not too little. Just perfect. Once the bottles are full, they need caps. Another machine puts the caps on tight. This keeps the ketchup fresh and stops any air from getting in. Air can make the ketchup go bad faster. After capping, the bottles get labels. The labels tell you what's inside and when it was made. The final step in packaging is a quick check. Workers look at each bottle. They make sure it's filled right, capped tight, and labeled correctly. Any bottles that don't look perfect get taken off the line. This helps make sure you only get the best ketchup at the store.
Our ketchup is bottled and ready to go, but it can't head to the store just yet. First, it needs to be stored the right way. Good storage keeps the ketchup fresh and tasty. It also helps the ketchup last longer. Ketchup factories have special storage areas just for this. These storage areas are cool and dark. Ketchup doesn't like heat or bright light. These can make the ketchup change color or taste funny. The temperature in the storage area is usually around 50 to 70 degrees Fahrenheit or 10 to 21 degrees Celsius. This is cool enough to keep the ketchup fresh, but not so cold that it freezes. The bottles are stored on big pallets. These pallets make it easy to move lots of ketchup at once. The pallets are stacked but not too high. This lets air move around the bottles. Good airflow helps keep the temperature even. It also stops moisture from building up. Ketchup can last a long time if it's stored right. Most ketchup is good for about a year, but the factory usually ships it out within a few weeks to ensure you get the freshest ketchup possible.
Making ketchup isn't just about following a recipe. It's also about making sure every bottle is safe and tasty. Quality control happens at every step. It starts with the tomatoes and doesn't stop until the ketchup leaves the factory. Workers take samples all the time. They check for color, thickness, and taste. Safety is super important too. They test for bad bacteria and pH levels. Quality control ensures the ketchup you buy is always yummy and safe.
We've seen how ketchup goes from tomato to bottle, but the journey isn't over yet. The ketchup still needs to get to you. After the factory, the ketchup goes to big warehouses. From there, it gets sent to stores all over. This part is called distribution. Trucks carry the ketchup to grocery stores. The ketchup bottles travel in boxes to keep them safe. When the ketchup gets to the store, workers put it on the shelves. They make sure to put the newest ketchup at the back. This way, the older ketchup gets used first. At the store, ketchup usually sits on a regular shelf. It doesn't need to be in the fridge. The vinegar and other ingredients keep it safe at room temperature. But once you open a bottle at home, it's best to keep it in the fridge. This helps it last longer. From the field to your fork, ketchup goes on quite a trip. It takes many people to make it happen. Farmers grow the tomatoes, factory workers make the ketchup, truck drivers deliver it, store workers stock it. And finally, you get to enjoy it on your favorite foods.
So there you have it, folks. That's how ketchup gets made. It's quite a journey, isn't it? From carefully picked tomatoes to the final quality checks, a lot goes into every bottle. Making ketchup is both an art and a science. It takes skill, care, and a dash of creativity. Next time you squeeze ketchup onto your fries, think about its adventure. Think about the ripe tomatoes, the secret spice mix, and all the people who helped make it. Ketchup might seem simple, but there's a whole world inside that bottle. It's a testament to human ingenuity and our love for tasty food. The ketchup making process shows us something important. It shows how we can take simple ingredients and turn them into something special. It also shows the power of consistency. Every bottle of your favorite ketchup tastes the same. So go ahead, enjoy that ketchup, whether it's on a burger with fries or however you like it best. Now you know the story behind every squeeze.